has a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us. We're a day early. All will become clear very shortly. We're going to do the same sort of thing, preview the Blackpool, preview the next game, round up any news that we can find that is Rotherham United related. And we might have a bit better idea of team lineups going into this Saturday than we did last Saturday. And we'll sort of go from there. Mick is back with us. How are you doing, Mick?
All good, mate. Thank you. You?
Very, very good. Very good, even though we are a day early. Unusual. We're doing this on a Wednesday night. It's putting me off. Danny, how are you doing?
I was in a bit of a rush, to be honest, lads. I'm not used to it being on Wednesdays. But we're all right, we're here, and stay tuned, everybody, because this is a doozy. Why we're early.
Yeah, there's good reasons. There are good reasons behind this, which will become clear at the end of the episode. What I'm going to do, first of all, is welcome aboard a new partner that we are working with. Working with them, maybe they're not the right word, supporting Kimvo Sports, are a new local sportswear company coming up in the area. They've asked us to sort of promote them where and can. They essentially, if you're looking for new kit suppliers for the next football season, 6-a-side, 5-a-side team, if you need a kit, you go onto the Kimvo's website, which is kimvosports.co.uk. You can have a look at the kits and stuff that they have on there. They're going to be helping us out with a couple of gear as well. We're going to get some nice caps with the New York Talk logo all over them, which look lovely. And there is a code to use. If you want 20% off, you can use code NYT, which will give you some play stuff there. Like I said, they're a local company. We want to help sort of push forward. So thank you very much to Kimbo for helping us with a few bits as well. We have in the comments Powermad, John Hensby, Harry Kelwick, Josh Hinchcliffe, Kim Haywood, and John Morrell says, Harry Suter, special guest. Ooh, I'll get my popcorn. That'd be good, that, to be fair, mate. Do you think, what do you think if one of those people, Harry Suter, if you came face-to-face with him, your opinion would change quite quickly?
Yeah, possibly. He might be a lovely lad.
I think he's very big.
Yeah. So if I met him face-to-face in person, then my opinion may well change extremely quickly.
Yeah. So by talking about Blackpool, we may as well just briefly talk about their last game, which was on Tuesday night against Huddersfield, which has caused them changing manager. So I suppose that's two sort of related things to go on. But we'll talk about the game first, Danny. Almost a perfect result. Neither team won, and the team that we're facing next have got a man suspended for the next game. I mean, other than 3 more of those red cards, how much better could it have been for us?
Well, you need to consider as well that Charlie Good is also injured with some sort of hamstring thing as well. So not to disrespect Blackpool or anything, but it almost seems a bit of you only got a point against the other relegation rival. One of your strikers has been suspended and one of your defenders is injured. So it's just like... I'm trying not to get too big-headed about it, lads. Let's just put it like that, because it'd be the most Rotherham United thing to do, to go, yeah, we have a fair shout here and lose 1-0. Like, I can see it.
Completely agree. It would. It would be the very, very most Rotherham United thing. These things can work 2 ways, though, Mick, to put a neutral sort of head on it. That can really galvanise a club. Going down to 10 men, going behind twice, coming back twice. One of your best players coming off. I don't know if he's one of the best players. I don't know how he's been performing, to be honest with you. But that Mick McCarthy is the type of manager that can use that and sort of say, right, look what you've done when you've been kicked in you know what. This is what you can do and move forward. So it could hamper us a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, he's got the he's got a touch of Neil Warnock's about him, hasn't he? In that sense, everybody's against us. He's another Yorkshireman, and it's that sort of. That sort of attitude. So, yeah, it's possible. It depends what he's working with, doesn't it? We don't know really what he's working with in terms of quality within that squad. I know when we played him earlier on in the season, they were dire at our place.
Yeah, they were.
So, listen, it's going to be a tough game. They're scrapping for their lives. We are not at this moment scrapping for our lives. However, a couple of bad results, and we will be. So, we've got to build on what we've done in the last 3 games and play in the same fashion or with the same intensity against the lower clubs in the division, like we have done with the higher ones. But in terms of last night, it was probably the perfect result for us Tuesday night. And they're going to have grafted hard to pull. Well, I say that. You would think they were going to have had to graft hard, but having listened to the now sacked Huddersfield manager, I'm not convinced he thought that was the case for him to come from behind twice. So
have you seen? I don't know. I can't remember whether it was the first or second goal. Have you seen the defending for either of the Blackpool goals? It's one of the worst bits of defending. It's one of them it's a pinball sort of type defending, but they had so much time, all time in world, but they just still shanked it anywhere, which bounced off somebody else, Very good finish, but they had about four chances to clear it Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And they've done it, which is, related. Or cost him his job, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Palmer UK says, God, Blackpool were garbage. If we don't beat them, we must be bad. Those type of things can come back to bite us on the backside, to be honest with you. They've had a change of management, Danny, since we played them. Blackpool, we beat them 3-0, and this probably won't surprise many Blackpool fans if you're listening. They are the worst team I've seen at New York Stadium this season. They were dire. Did change of manager for both teams. I think that was the previous manager's final home game. I think could be wrong. Should have probably checked that before I came out with it. To be honest with you, but my point is, it's two very, very different teams now. Very, very different teams, and they will hope they've improved, but they don't seem to have improved much.
No, with Blackpool at New York, I don't think they were the worst team overall. Reading and Blackburn have got a fair shout with that.
You might be right about that, actually.
Yeah, even Sheffield United as well. No, that's a wind up, never mind.
Don't let Billy Sharpie say winding them up.
Right. Billy Sharp wants to do an interview about me and how much I've rattled him, that's fine. But to do it about a National League team, that's just something else entirely. Anyway, I'm trying to find the link to it now. Off the Line blog did the transfer table thing, which was actually a really good read, so fair play on that. He's got us top. Well, he has, or they have, if it's a team, man or woman, whatever. They've got us top of the transfer list for January, which I quite like, to be honest. Don't like the League One reference, but anyway. And where's he got? And he's got Blackpool as third. So two teams that have strengthened quite a bit in the January window, and Tottenham sends out, are going together in sort of a relegation scrap, I suppose, of sorts. So it will be very, very interesting to see, to coin my phrase, very interesting to see how we line up, because, it is effectively two different teams to when we met at New York earlier in the season. And like I say, Blackpool didn't turn up at New York, but I think the impetus is now on us to turn up at Bloomfield Roads and show them how much we have strengthened and how much we are together now. Because I think at New York, we played them at the right time. We were on that crest, that high at the start of the season. Thankfully, we didn't play them in the little ruts that we had, because I think Blackpool would have beaten us, if I'm being completely honest. Same with Huddersfield. We played them maybe at the wrong time and lost to them. But we're playing Blackpool sort of the right time, where we're on a little bit of an upward curve again. So it's a tricky one, but if we match the performances of the last 3 games, we should smoke them. However, football doesn't work like that over time, does it? Which is why I'm actually quite nervous for Saturday, because it's a must-win game for either team, innit?
I would say it's must not lose for us. I think a draw is fine. It's not ideal, obviously, but if we come away from an away game with a draw, you're sort of saying, right, they've not gained any ground on us. You've got Wigan playing Huddersfield, so only one of them could gain ground on us, technically. A draw might not be the end of the world, but if you win, imagine if we win that game and Wigan and Huddersfield draw, we look so much more comfortable, don't we, I think? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Blackpool have the 3rd worst home record in the division. Just 3 wins, 4 draws from their 14 games so far. So pretty poor. We have the 3rd worst away record in the division.
And yet we still beat Sheffield United in that away record.
Yes, that's right.
Can we get a bonus point for that?
I don't know. Yeah, pretty average, pretty samey. We've only won 2, so Stoke and Sheffield are the 2 away wins, aren't they? For us. So yeah. John Morrell says in the comments, Wigan and Huddersfield this weekend is a proper 6-pointer. Yeah. Let's just touch on Huddersfield, Mick, because they're down there with us. They've had a change of manager. The man with the mystical and mythical and strange accent, Mark Fotheringham, is left. Good decision. It's just at the transfer window. It's February. He has really struggled. I mean, they beat us, but only because we were horrific. Do you feel like it's a good time to change your mind, just been able to get in?
Right at the beginning of this season, I predicted that Huddersfield would be down there. I think behind the scenes, and again, I don't know, but it's just reading between the lines. Behind the scenes, things are not as they should be. I think financially, they're probably in some sort of difficulties, whether it be through financial fair play or whatever it is. I'm not saying that they're looking like going bust or anything like that, but I think I get the feeling that they're trying to balance the books. Which is why they brought this manager in. I suspect probably on the cheap. I don't know, but probably on the cheap. And it's, they've not done anything in the transfer window other than sell one of their best players, as far as I'm aware. So the lad who went to Birmingham, is it Sorba Thomas? I think Blackburn. Sorry, just not Birmingham, Blackburn. Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm not surprised that they're down here at all. Whether it's a good time to sack the manager, is there ever a good time? I mean, is this just a case of trying to appease the fans? Look, we're not doing very well, so it must be manager's fault. Not that we haven't backed him, or we're not giving him any support. Nothing to do with that. It's just that he's rubbish. So we'll find somebody else. Be interesting to see who they set on next, and whether it's going to be another unknown. Or whether they're going to try and, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
The Twitter sphere was at Wilder was the first name I saw linked with it.
Yeah, but Chris Wilder's is linked with every single available host, isn't it? Every time somebody's sacked, he's one of the first names that's mentioned. So I'll be very, very surprised if they're going to shell out for him. Bearing in mind the support they've given this manager in transfer window, both summer and winter window, knowing that Wilder needs the support, expects the support, in fact, with his history, I'll be very, very surprised if they go for him. And if they do, I can't see him staying very long.
No. His joint favourite with Neil Warnock. Now, we all know Neil Warnock's not going to happen. No. So I don't understand why he's joint favourite.
Nonsense, that, isn't it?
Yeah, they've been in free fall, I suppose. John Morrell says the bloke was a fool, was as stupid as Steve Cottrell. Any decent manager does a better job for him. Yeah, I remember when both times he played us, he talked a bit of nonsense. Danny, didn't he? I was severely unimpressed with him at the appointment in the first place, and I seem to agree with all Huddersfield fans that it's just been a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I think so. You would have thought with Huddersfield being not long since being in the Premier League, they would want to be higher up the Championship than in a relegation dogfight. But yeah, now looking for third manager this season.
Yeah. Well, Corberan was manager in pre-season, I think. So if you count pre-season, I think it would technically be the fourth.
Christ. Yeah, they've not worked that one out right, have they? But then you have to consider if they want Wilder, would Wilder take the job?
Yeah.
He's moved up the pyramid, got Sheffield United very, very high up the pyramid. Then went away and then came back with Middlesbrough. I still don't think Middlesbrough gave him enough time, if I'm being honest. No. So he expects that, like I say, he expects the backing and then the time to effectively tinker, get the thing together, and then go for it. But I think Huddersfield are looking for the immediate solution now, that solution to try and keep them into the division and then go in again. And it's going to be very hard for them to find it, I think. Yeah. Because they're not going to pinch Taylor off us, are they?
No. I think Wilder's one of those, a bit like Dyche, he's earned the right to wait for the right job, first of all. And also, if you look at what he did at Middlesbrough and at Sheffield United, initially, it was horrific. Sheffield United, to start with, he was the bottom of the league in October or something ridiculous like that. So there's no evidence that it's going to have an instant impact. If you're thinking long term, then Wilder's brilliant. but I don't see an instant impact necessarily from Chris Wilder, or there hasn't been in his past. Don't know. It's strange. It might work out in our favour. It might be a disaster and drop off. It might work in their favour, and they might appoint a gem and move up the table. We just don't know. But yeah, a good couple of results. Wigan drew as well. Sean Maloney, is it? Is it Sean or Scott? Wigan's new manager.
Who knows?
Maloney.
Another famous one.
Him.
Maloney drew his first game for Wigan, so they picked up a point, keeping themselves in a little bit of touch at Blackburn.
And that was a dire game. That
was a really, really bad game. Did you have an opinion on the disallowed goal, Nick?
I didn't, because I didn't see that.
Okay.
I saw quite a bit of the game, but I didn't see that, unfortunately, or fortunately. Wanted to. I drifted off into another another dimension about halfway through. So yeah, okay. I mean, it's another one of those that, I mean, you look at Diaz and people saying he's worth 30 odd million or whatever it is, and it's like, what? Really?
Well, he's already signed a pre-contract agreement, so he's already off.
Yeah,
is what I would say.
He's probably not interested, then that's probably why.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, it's another one of those players that seems vastly overvalued. Sorry, in terms of. But yeah, there we go. Let's not get down into that, because I might dig myself another hole.
I mean, I'm going to join in with you here, Mick, and say it's as if some people do the shopping, at Waitrose and M&S for players, but then when people buy players off us, it's like they've gone shopping at Lidl into the reduced section. It's like, for example, take Sander Berge, for example, and he's valued at 30 million. If he's 30 million, Barlasser is bare minimum 20.
Did you watch Wrexham game on Tuesday? Sander Berge was horrendous again.
Yeah.
Against a non-league team. Let's I don't know if it's not that non-league team, obviously, but it was horrific again. I don't really get I'm starting to really worry if I don't know anything about football, because I just don't see it.
I'm starting to worry I know nothing about finance, if I'm being honest. If these players are going for that much. I mean, we've got a better Norwegian in our squad. He's on loan from Leeds.
And he's only 19.
Exactly.
Yeah. John Morell says, Mick, did you drift off into a world of Harry Souttar YouTube videos?
I was dreaming about Harry Souttar up against Diaz and trying to work out which one we're going to get to ball last.
Yeah. Right, back onto the Millers. Let's just look, before we move on to the Blackpool game complete, let's just look at this run of fixtures, because February is Saturday, Tuesday, and then Monday, obviously, with the Swansea game. But it's potentially a big run of fixtures. We've got Blackpool away on Saturday, Reading away on Tuesday, Coventry at home, who've gone into the massive dip of form, which they can do, Sunderland at home, who are about their talisman in Ross Stewart, and then Swansea, who are again a bit of a basket case of a club. So there's 15 points up for grab there, Mick. We're not going to get 15 points, obviously, but every single one of those is a winnable game for us. Yeah,
you would think so, wouldn't you? You would think so. It's just one at a time, isn't it? Without sounding like a football manager. They are all winnable without a shadow. I think the toughest one, there's two tough ones. I think the trip to Reading, we never do very well at Reading, ever.
They're a different team to in August as well, aren't they?
And absolutely they are, yeah. But very, very inconsistent. Swansea, we're gonna watch that on TV, obviously. Even if it was Saturday at £32.50 for a 10-hour, 11-hour round trip is a bit steep, but on a Monday night that's outrageous. And we know that Sky are going to be creaming themselves about 70-80% possession for Swansea. But yeah, I could see us going there and nicking something, definitely. So the winnable games, you're absolutely right, but one at a time. We've got to maintain this this intensity that we've played with. And if we do that, we're going to come out of the back end of February very, very close to that safety mark, I hope. I really do.
Yeah. April's a horrific month as well. Is a horrific month, sorry. You've got Hull, West Brom, Norwich, Luton, Burnley, Bristol City and Middlesbrough. And that's just in April.
Yeah, we don't
in March.
Do we?
But then in March, you've got Birmingham who have dropped off again, Preston who are bang average, Cardiff who are again a basket case. So, yeah, let's see. Wigan, and obviously Wigan, last day of the season as well. Belter. Danny, what's your view on that run of games? Maybe reset's not the right word, but it's just that's February. We started with a draw against the second in the league. What is it? Is it a huge run of fixtures, or is it just to sort of get on with it, like Mick says, one game at a time?
Yeah, I think just get on with it one game at a time. I think the squad knows, and probably Taylor knows, that we do have enough stuff about us to stay up. It's just the question of how comfortable do you want to make it, lads? You know, and we know we're over United, we don't make it very comfortable, do we? It's going to be edge of the seat. But I tried to work this out last night with our lass, and for some reason we got 32 points at rest of the season, which is vastly overrated. Exactly, that's vastly over. I think that's best case scenario. If I'm
that's doubling what we've got now.
Yeah, exactly. That's near enough bang average, like 10th ish.
Yeah.
So I think that's best case scenario, if I'm being honest, and positive thinking, which we love. But being realistic and probably thinking, could see that happening rather than, let's hope for it. Could probably see us getting maybe 19 for the rest of the season, which would put us on 51, which I think is like, sort of thing. Yeah. But it could swing either way. I think aim for 50 and then go from there now, I think.
Yeah. I still think 50 will do you. I still think less than that will do you, to be honest with you. Wigan have got 26 points after 29 games. They're probably not going to get to 50. Blackpool have got 27 from 29 games. They're probably not going to get to 50. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, unless they have a sharp turnaround. I can't see Wigan almost doubling their points tally in the 17 games they've got.
We know what it's like to be in the position that Wigan are in at the moment. We've been there for the last 4 times we've been in Championship, or virtually anyway. So when you get to this stage of the season, you're still sort of in the mid 20s points. You know that it's a massive, massive hill to climb. And yet, a couple of times we've almost managed to climb that hill, and once we won up, we did do. But it is a huge hill to climb. But it's down to us. It's absolutely down to us. So,
just done a bit of quick maths for you lads. If we maintain our current points per game ratio, which is roughly 1.1 if you round it, over the course of the season, that'd get us 50.6 points, around it up to 51. So if we maintain it, I think my prediction's bang on, Do you want to hear where I think we'll pick these points up? Don't quote me on this, because don't quote me on it, because it's partially wishful thinking as well. So, and I'm sorry to John Morell in advance. So slightly wishful thinking, but like, I could see it. I reckon 3 at Blackpool, 1 at Reading, 1 against Coventry, probably lose against Sunderland, 1 against Swansea, 1 against QPR, 1 against Birmingham, 1 against Preston, probably beat Cardiff, draw against Hull, draw against West Brom, lose to Norwich, draw against Luton, lose to Burnley, lose to Bristol City, slightly wishful of a draw at Middlesbrough, and then I think we'll beat Wigan.
I can't disagree with most of those. I've just realised, though, the Easter weekend is West Brom on Friday, Norwich on Monday. You know what I mean?
I'd take a point out of them 2 games, if I'm being honest, lad.
I probably would, to be honest, yeah. I were hoping Colbrand would leave to Leeds and they'd get Steve Bruce back in or something like that. Because...
Nick down and Moore back from down the road at Swilsborough.
Imagine if that had happened. Wouldn't it have been glorious?
It would be so sweet.
It would.
Interesting thing is, lads, we've got the most draws in the division.
Yeah, we had that last time, but we had the ability of turning the wins into draws, didn't we? Whereas I feel like this time we're turning losses into draws. It does. The draws do feel different this time. Yeah,
just about to say, like the draw against Sheffield United, for example.
Actually, we're also not losing 1-0 1,000 times either, or 2-1, whatever. Those 1-goal deficit losses have disappeared so far. Watch us lose next 6 games 1-0.
And sometimes we have actually turned draws into wins by hook or by crook, haven't we?
Stoke.
Yeah, Stoke, Sheffield United as well.
Yeah. Not Blackburn. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? John Morrell says, unless the bottom three going to still reckons 48 points will be enough. I'm not even convinced you'll need 48, but we'll see. I'm thinking somewhere around 45 again, just because how bad some of those teams are. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes over the next 3 months, whenever we are. Moving back onto the Blackpool game, we've talked about them. Their sort of game on Tuesday, which may have felt like a win in the end to them, but they are 13 games without a win, Mick. Mick McCarthy, I don't know, he's not been in that long, but he's clearly not had much of an impact. That was his first point since he came into the job. So there's been no instant impact, which is strange for Mick McCarthy. Mick McCarthy's going to have an impact. It's normally within the first 2 or 3 games, isn't it? Yeah,
but what you're seeing with this is that Mick McCarthy's taking over with his techniques from one of these more modern touchy-feely coaches. And the only way Mick McCarthy's a touchy-feely kind of bloke is if he's punching you, isn't he? You know, he's a Barnsley lad. He's not. He's a Barnsley lad. He don't do touchy-feely, you know. So that's there is a part of that's going to take some turning around, and some players may or may not respond to it. We'll have to see how it pans out for him. Honestly, I don't care how it pans out for him.
No.
So long as he don't manage to turn it around before Saturday, he can do what he wants after that. So long as as long as they're not affecting us. But I suspect he's not going to have the impact that people thought that he might. You know, he's a bit sort of Sam Allardyce. Is he in that category now? And you know, the Sam Allardyce, Tony Pulis, English Managers Association type. So we'll see. Fingers crossed it doesn't pan out for him.
Yeah, he took over on the 19th of January. They have lost in the FA Cup, lost to Middlesbrough 3-0, and then drawn. So it's only third game, I suppose. John Morrell says, surprised if somebody considered so many daft goals since they took charge, would think that would be corrected straight away. Yeah, that's what I mean. They're the sort of basics, Danny, of Mick McCarthy, Sam Allardyce, Neil Warnock. You come in and game one, you saw him. I remember Warnock came in 2000 and whatever it was, 15. The first thing he did, the first game against, I think, Birmingham, we drew 0-0, and it was a horrific game. But it was 0-0. We didn't look like conceding. That's really surprised they've conceded, well, if you include the Southampton game, they've conceded 7 goals in 3 games. That's a massive concern for them.
Yeah, it is. It makes you think that the issue wasn't just the manager's tactics and application. Maybe it's something else there as well. But, you know, that's not for me to comment because I don't want to make things up and get in trouble on social media about Blackpool, do you? Hello, Tangerine fans. But, yeah, with like you say, with the likes of Warnocks, your Allardyce and your Dyches as well. I mean, look at Sean Dyche going to Everton straight away, big 1-0 win against Arsenal, who look set to win Premier League this year. I think that's what Blackpool were hoping for with Mick McCarthy coming in. But he's got a job. He's got a job on, you know, with Blackpool. And if he keeps them up, you know, you have to hold your hands up and go, yeah, fair play to him. But I don't think it's the start Blackpool would have wanted. Miss out the Southampton game because it's a little bit of a free hit in FA Cup, to be fair, when you're wanting to survive in the second tier. But again, it's like, you know, you should really be beating your relegation rivals if you've got a new manager and a new application of tactics, etc., etc. Just to bring a bit of positivity and confidence into it. But then they go down to 10 men and, thankfully for them, scrape a draw out of it.
And for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew Barlow says he's looking forward to the Blackpool game. There's 5 of them in the hospitality. Got to be quiet if they score. Just hope we go for the win and not be happy with the draw.
Yep,
yeah,
that's your hands.
Yeah, exactly. And moving on to us, Mick, that's the key question, really. We mentioned earlier it's a must not lose for us. And it is. You know, if a draw's better than much better than a loss.
Yeah.
But you can't go out like that. And this is the first time we're learning on the job, as I suppose, with Matt Taylor. We don't know if he's going to do that. I don't think he will. But it's important not to just sort of sit back, because if they've shown on Tuesday night, if you give them a bit of momentum, they can clearly pull something out of a game. It's important for us to try and take control of the game if possible.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And one thing I would say about Matt Taylor, which differs to the last regime, is that he does change the way we play to a degree, dependent on the opposition, as he's proved with the last 3 games. You know, he'd obviously done his homework against Blackburn. Yeah, we got lucky in terms of that opening goal being so early, but then he just put them to the sword. Absolutely put them to the sword. He recognised what their weaknesses were and exploited them. And then, likewise with Watford and Sheffield United, the way that we played was the tactics were different, and we went out and stopped them playing, and so he's going to do the same thing. And look at what their weaknesses are. I suspect it will be a different approach on Saturday to the one it was last Saturday. I think it'll be far more attacking, and at least I hope so. Anyway, for me, we need to be going for jugular. Let's get in there, get in the faces, and get that early goal. If we get that early goal with the quality that we've got on the side at the moment, we should be absolutely fine. But like I said, I'm impressed with the way Matt Taylor's dealt with the last 3 games. The ones before, not so much, but he's changed. And I don't want to keep harking back to that, but it's a decent line in sand, I suppose, if that's the right word. That he's recognised what's not happening and changed it, and then changed it each game since, albeit to a much lesser degree. So I think we'll see a different approach on Saturday to the one we've seen.
Yeah, I probably agree. I mean, these types of teams, Danny, when teams are on bad runs and they've got a new manager, the best thing you can do is get an early goal against them and just try and put them in the place a little bit. Because if we get an early goal, their ground may be rocking before, and if you score it first 5 minutes, other than their way, they'll be deathly silent, won't it? You put pressure on the players as well as the fans a little bit. Yeah,
definitely. A little bit cheaper Blackpool not to offer that extra allocation because anyway, I won't comment on that, but we've sold it out, so that'll do. Yeah, I mean, with the early goal, we always do better when we score first, because I don't think we've not picked up a single point when we've conceded first. Which is a little bit worrying, but just put them in the place, get the early goal, and then just play our way. Dictate the play. That's sort of what you have to do when you go to an away ground anyway. Just dictate the play and play your way, and don't let them play their way, because if they get to play their way on home turf, then odds are on that they're going to do something against you. But with a fair following of sold out 1900s, it'll be a decent racket, if I'm being honest. We could have had more. We could have sold more as well, but anyway, 1900 mils is sending on Blackpool. It's a shame the tower's not open. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am, but I'm nervous at the same time. And here's the thing, right? I've been in contact with Dave Scrivens, who organises our coaches. The pub that we're going to in Blackpool isn't a pub where you can get a free pint from a fan hub, and I am fuming about it. Because they've launched that market thing, haven't they? Right, where you can spend them credits and buy a free brewdog in one of their pubs. And the pub we're going to isn't one of those. I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming.
Yeah. You going for a donkey ride? Will there be donkeys out in February, do you think?
I mean, Matt, I've lost a lot of weight recently.
I think he got sent off the other night and he's been suspended now, hasn't he?
Very good.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight recently, Matt, but I still think I'm a bit too heavy for a donkey.
Never know.
I'll look like Jeremy Clarkson riding that donkey. Do you remember when he did that on Top Gear? That'll be me.
Yeah. Fish and chips then. I'll get fish and chips. Good slots. I'll take some 2Ps in.
Yeah.
Be great. Let's talk about how we are going to look on Saturday, Mick. IOC 19 says Keena in midfield Saturday. Tough one. I'll start with midfield because that's the only real talking point, I think, personally. You got Keena, who's fit and back, ready to go. Yeah, I'd love to see him play. But which one of those 3 are you going to take the shirt off? Because it'd be so harsh to see a Dauphin back at that team, or even Coventry or Well, Rathbone's not going to be dropped, is it?
No. I don't know. what a place to start. I mean, you can't drop any of those three. I suppose if it's going to be anybody, it will be Conor Coventry, just on the basis that he's only played one game. The other two we know are banging form. But it depends on how Matt Taylor and his team see Blackpool, how he sees them setting up, and where he considers their dangers and weak points are. You know, if he considers that maybe pulling out Coventry or even God forbid a Dauphin with it out of that midfield for Keane, if he's going to cause more problems within there, then I'm sure he'll do it. But for me, it would be harsh to drop any of them. But if it was going to be one, it'd be Coventry, just simply on the basis that he's only played one game. He's not really in form, and he's not really kind of earned the shirt. And that's harsh to say that. You know what I mean? But it depends. It depends what he wants from that midfield. Whether he wants that creativity and spark and forward attacking momentum, or whether he wants it to be a bit more solid in there. We'll have to wait and see.
We will. I
wouldn't change it personally.
Yeah. John Morell says, doesn't see him getting in the same 11 if he's the same lad who was at Barnsley, including from last season. A couple of their big main players, you have Jerry Yates, who scored 9 goals this season. I can't see him being as bad as he was at New York Stadium. It can't be as bad as he was at New York Stadium because I'm not completely sure he was on pitch. I'd have to watch game back to actually make sure that they were that bad. So it's going to be somewhere today. And Josh Bowler has returned to the club about 4 months after leaving to go to Olympiacos, who is a very, very good player who scored against Huddersfield. Couple of things. Jamie, we'll start with this one, Danny. Would you drop Ogbene? Jamie says, I'll let you have a crack on that one. What would you do with that front three?
What the hell? That's an head scratcher. That good grief. My microphone is still working, by the way. It's just me being quiet. Would I drop Ogbene? I think to drop Ogbene, we'd have to shuffle the front line. I think if we were to drop Ogbene and bring in another striker, for example, if Kelly's fit, or to play Hugo and Wash at the same time, I would drop Ogbene, play a front two, and then have Fosu in behind the two because he can operate there. The only downside to that is that you miss out on a lot of wide play if you've still got your three in midfield. So, yeah, could go 4-4-2, potentially having Kioso on that right side, and then push Fosu out to left-hand side. Even being Bramall in on that left-hand side. Or Fergie, yeah. I mean, Fergie can actually operate on both wings now that we've seen that. Because we saw the thing of him and Gio swapping wings for a little bit. But it seemed
he's got right foot, though.
No, he don't, but anyway. Yeah, that's a difficult one. I think to play the system we played against Sheffield United and such, I'd keep Ogbene in. But if we want to really confuse Blackpool about how we're going to play, I would bring Ogbene out and then shuffle the front line.
Okay. IFC says Fosu on the right, Fergie on the left.
That's an option.
Says, why would you change a team after recent performances? Don't think you can drop anybody.
I'm Harvey on this one.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't drop Chio because I just think it gives you too much. Nicholas Skidmore says he draws your fouls and dangerous set pieces. It gets you up the pitch in quick time, especially when you're in the break away from home. We'll be breaking more than we would do at home as well. If I was going to drop anybody from the front three, it'd be Fosu. I thought Fosu played quite well last week, but for me, Chio's proven. I know what Chio can do. I'm going to worry about that. He might have an off game here and there, but I know what Chio can do. There is an argument to bring Fergie back in for either of them. If you want to drop, but there is an argument for that. but it was an excellent performance. So there's a massive argument to say, don't worry about it, just keep it.
I don't see an argument for changing it at all. I don't. Just keep it as it is. Keep it as it is. It worked fine, and it will work better against teams who are defensively not as strong as Sheffield United are.
But there weren't an argument to change Fergie out in the first place, were there?
Well,
I suppose.
I suppose you could argue that as well. So we're going to go around in circles with this, aren't we? Because we really don't know ultimately. Everybody's got a different opinion, and probably everybody's different. All those different opinions are probably just as valid as each other, So I don't know. See what Matt Taylor does. I personally wouldn't alter any of it.
I didn't think I'd have to think this much on a Wednesday. Good grief.
IFC19 says Fergie offers a proper ball into the box if he thinks that Foster is too precious to drop, which is interesting. I suspect we'll see an unchanged formation. I think we've seen Matt Taylor change formation already, so I think we all sort of think, I might change formation again. I wonder if this is just what he wants to play. This is the players they've got. 4-4-2, you lose a man in midfield, which we need. With the 3 men in midfield works perfectly. If somebody put in the comments 4-2-3-1 again, if you do 4-2-3-1, you're still losing probably one of those midfielders. I think 4-3-3 suits what we've got. The only change I could see is Keener coming in for probably Coventry. Again, that's probably harsh.
Just having a look at how Blackpool lined up. They lined up in a 4-2-3-1, or at least FootMob thinks they did. So for us to do 4-3-3, it does offer that bit more defensive security. Like with a Dauphin, for example, he can drop back in and help the defence out, and same with Coventry as well. So that I could see them two actually staying in, to be honest, and then keeping the 3. It'll keep their 2 deeper midfielders busy, and then if we keep the wide players of that 3, it'll keep their back 4 busy as well. So I think potentially an unchanged 11.
John Morrell says he'd always want pace out wide, especially against teams low on confidence. It's the one thing that will always hurt them. We said this at the start of the season. We all signs were made. There's one thing that a fullback and a central defender don't want to go up against. They don't want to go up against pace. No. There's tricks to get around a big man, and there's tricks around to get other players. If somebody runs past you, they ran past you. That's it.
And that's one thing we're blessed with in this squad is pace. There's pace just about all over. Well, there is pace in every position almost. So it's agreed.
On the 4 at the back, Nicholas Skidmore brings up. Also got to think about Tuesday going forward as well. And then I'll bring up Peltier as the one, because I don't know whether he can. I'm just making this up because of his age. But there is maybe a conversation where I'd say, right, can Peltier play 4 games Saturday, Tuesday? There's going to be potentially questions there, and he may need to manage his minutes over the next week or 2.
I don't see that is no issue whatsoever, is it? You've got Peter Kioso sitting.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do you do it now, or do you do it Tuesday?
I don't know. Again, it depends.
Do you know anything? Is there anything you know?
Listen, as you are very, very well aware, I make it all up as I go along. I mean, you've got Peter Kioso there, who again has got bags and bags of pace. He's probably a better right back than Peltier, arguably.
Certainly going forward.
Certainly going forward, he is. I mean, Pelt's is brilliant, but get him near the opposition box and he will not put that ball in where he completely refuses. It's like if he were a show jumper, he'd just run straight into the fence, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? It's like not having it, not doing it. So yeah, I don't think that's an issue. I think Bailey Wright, we should be clear of the concussion. Should be. So he'd be available if Grant Hall is not, or is another one that we would like to manage in terms of his fitness levels. So I think we're all right personally. I genuinely do. To be playing Saturday, Tuesday. We've got a lot of youth in there. as well. So no, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons that Matt Taylor wanted more depth in the squad for these runs. He wanted an extra couple of extra central defender, an extra couple of midfielders, an extra striker for these sort of runs of games. So he has got options to change things up, not only if we play badly, but also to freshen it up if you need to on these runs of games. John Morell says, Birmingham fans says likes of Deeney and the older ones. The second game isn't necessarily an issue. It's the third game in a row the following weekend that they seem to struggle with. Yeah, absolutely. Any other changes or selection headaches, issues? Danny, maybe Georgie back on the bench? We always love to see Georgie back on the bench, wouldn't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Georgie.
He should be available. There's no reason to think Georgie won't be available, is there, at the minute?
No, I mean, he's had that little... I mean, he was in contention for the Sheffield United game, just didn't make the 18. Yeah, I'd love to see Georgie back on the bench. I'd love him to score twice against Blackpool, once away. That'd be mint. And I also want to see Hugo and Kelly operate together, weirdly. Because I think that'd prove fruitful. You've got the bulldozer in Georgie, and then I was going to say something that would get me in trouble, the finesser in Hugo as well. So that could be a good partnership, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody else you like to see on the bench? Mick Kiosa wasn't even on the bench last week. This is the squad we're talking about now, isn't it? And would it be on the bench?
I want Kiosa on bench without a shadow. Unless there's an injury in there, an illness or something that prevented him being on bench. I was really surprised at that. So now I'd like to see Georgie Kelly back in there, Kiosa on the bench as well. Keena, if he's fit, will be on there as well. So, yeah, he's got some headaches coming up, Matt Taylor, in terms of who he's going to select and where he's going to play him. So yeah, glad I'm not him.
Yeah. I think Tommy should be available for the squad. He certainly was in training. The pictures that the club tweeted out, he was in training, which looked like full training as well.
Right. Those things from training?
Go on.
The video that they've put out on Instagram has royally wound me up. The Jaffa cake debate.
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen it on Instagram.
Right, so...
Go on, let's open it up.
Right, so players are just coming in after they've had the session, and I don't know which member of the media team it is, whether it's Sam Kellum or I forget the other guy's name, the blade that we've got. I don't know which one it is, but they asked him, so that's the Jaffa cake on a plate, is it a cake or a biscuit? And an annoying amount of players say it's a biscuit, not a cake, and it's royally wound me up. Even George said it was a biscuit, and it's really upset me that he said that.
Mick,
what?
Cake or biscuit?
Well, the closing title, isn't it?
I'd say so. I say it's cake.
The excuse is it's on biscuit aisle or it's in the biscuit cupboard. It's like, but it's a sponge thing with.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
It's a sponge bottom with a bit of jelly stuff covered in chocolate. It's a cake. It's not a.
Well,
you can't dunk it in. You can't dunk it in your tea. It's not a biscuit.
You could dunk it in your tea.
Do you want chocolate tea, Matthew?
I don't know when I like tea. A bit of chocolate to it might work. But you dip a chocolate digestive, wouldn't you? So
if you just said it's a biscuit, I'm going to throw pens at you.
John Morell says it's a cat kit.
Actually, I quite like the Jaffa cat kits. Actually,
yeah, I'll accept that. Right, let's do score predictions before we do move on to a little bit of other stuff. Mick, do you want to start us off?
I'm going to go 2-1 Millers. I'm going to
2-1. Like it. Danny? Sorry, Mick, I've cut you off. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No.
Go on, Danny.
I think it's going to be 2-0 to us.
Perfect. I will go negative and 1-1. Which I'll take. Nicholas Skidmore says 2-1. Harvey Kelwick says 2-0. Power Mad UK says 3-0 to Rotherham. 1-0 to Wigan. John S says 3-2 to the Millers. John Morell fans is just for a 2-1. Chris Tether says 2-0. Joshua Hinchcliffe says Hugel and Fosu to get their first goals 2-0. RUFC 19 says 2-0 Georgia Brace. That'd be interesting. And Kim Hayward says 2-0. YouTuber says 3-0 to us. Interesting. A lot of positivity. We like that a lot. And Cheryl Stone says 2-1 to the Millers. Fantastic.
Cheryl also says, just to settle the debate once and for all, and it's what I was trying to think of and I couldn't remember, HMRC have agreed that it's a cake, not a biscuit, for tax
There we go.
There you go. That's official.
So you're saying we should always trust the tax man?
Just saying. That's all. Listen.
Anyway.
No
biscuit tack on the Jaffa cakes.
Correct.
Danny tweeted a bit of a tease earlier, and we have got big news. There is a reason we're doing today's episode today, and well, instead of me just telling you, we've got this little bit something together.
Keep it alive. Rathbone still going after it. Ollie Rathbone on his left foot. Oh, is it over the line? No, it's off the bar. He's given a goal. Ollie Rathbone. The skipper, Ollie Rathbone. Ollie Rathbone sweeps it home.
We speak with Rotham's current captain, Ollie Rathbone, about all things Rotherham United. Out Friday morning, wherever you get your podcasts, only on New York Talk. So, Friday morning, special episode, audio only, on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We will be speaking to Ollie Rathbone about all things Rotherham United. Very excited to speak to Ollie. We love Ollie. I'm really, really excited. As you can see my mixed face. Very, very excited, I think.
Come on, yes.
Yeah. What do you want to ask him? Let's add to it. What are you going to... Hopefully, assuming he remembers, we're speaking to him on Thursday evening, which will be out Friday morning. What are you going to ask him?
How to pronounce his surname properly.
Him or me?
What?
Assuming who remembers?
Well, you and him.
Was that a question directed at Danny?
No, well, I'll start with you, but if you haven't got anything...
You're a low baller from... I wasn't expecting that.
Fine. As long as you don't ask about referees and stuff like that, I think we'll probably be fine.
I won't ask him about punching officials. That's off the agenda.
That's a shame. That was going to be my second question to him, like about getting up in the faces of referees to the point where he legit jumps up and down complaining at him. I love that. It's brilliant to see. But my first question is how to pronounce his surname properly, because everybody in the comments always has a go at me when I say Rathbone. I know it's Rathbone. It's just how my tongue works.
I said Rathbone. We'll ask him. He's from Lancashire. I assume it's Rathbone. It's like Dodder, isn't it? And places like that. You don't pronounce all the letters.
I'll find out Friday morning.
Few comments. IFC wants to know what was Taylor like in the dressing room. What was the mood in the camp when the manager leaves? Interesting question. We'll do what we can. There was also the contract situation. Paul Davis has put an article out today suggesting there is potentially positive news in terms of both parties being interested. I don't think there's anything agreed. I mean, we can ask him. I don't think we'll get the answer. But yeah, that'll be out Friday morning. Go on, Meg.
No, nothing. I was just reading some comments, that's all.
Palmad's comments tickled me.
We've got to ask him if it's Jaffa cake or biscuit.
Yeah. I'm just going to go out and buy a pack of Jaffa cakes ready for us talking to him, by the way.
Yeah. I'm more interested in Andrew Barlow's comments. Is it Simon LeBone then?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We will. Actually, we'll speak to all sorts of nonsense. This is going to be audio only. It's not going to be on YouTube. So if you want to get it, just iTunes, Spotify, New York Talk, wherever you find podcasts, it will be out there. All being well, Friday morning. It's also worth mentioning, and I've not told this to the club or anybody else, but our record after speaking to players is truly horrific.
Wow.
We spoke to Richard Wood and lost 4-2 to Fleetwood. We spoke to Victor Johansson and lost 1-0 to Accrington on Boxing Day. We spoke to Dan Barlaser and I think lost to Fleetwood again. So hopefully nobody from the club's listening to this, because otherwise we'll never speak to anybody from the club ever again.
But you have to remember, we spoke to those players under the previous manager. So Ollie is the first one under the current manager, so it might break the hoodoo.
Hopefully. Mick, is there anything you're thinking you want to know normally, unnormally? Any questions you can think of?
There's a few bits and pieces, to be honest, and I think one of the ones that I'm interested in is what IFC 19's put up there about growing up, having a father who was a footballer as well. That's
a banging question.
Quite an interesting subject, that, and my wife already has a question for him on that. So we'll see. Well, I'm not going to ask you now, am I?
All right, okay. John Merrill says, can we ask him to get another player on before we play Birmingham? Yeah. Nicholas Skimmo said, it's brilliant that these players are willing to do it. Yeah, it is. And it's great that the club are letting us do it. As you can imagine with the club, they've got to protect the club. You know, the last thing that they want is for us to ask him a question like Mick asked Woody about punching referees. And they come out and says something. And then they get a 3-match ban, or if Ollie was to say, we asked him a leading question and he said something about Blackpool, I could do Blackpool's team talk for him. You know what I mean? So we do appreciate the club allowing these players to come on, and like Nicholas says, the players are willing to come on and speak to us idiots as well. So I appreciate that as well.
Absolutely, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, go and subscribe now while you remember. If you click subscribe, it'll just download it automatically. We'll tweet loads of nonsense about it as well on Friday morning. If there's any issues, obviously we'll tweet out saying there's been an issue. It should be good to go. You can listen to it Friday morning, or it might be quite good to listen to it on the way to Blackpool. I don't know. You can listen to this. Like I say, you can listen to this podcast and then that podcast, but by the time you listen to this, you'll have already listened to this podcast. So the idea would be too late, wouldn't it, Mick?
You're just confusing me now. Is it a cake or a biscuit?
John wants to know, ask him if he thinks Harry Souttar's worth 15 million quid.
Well, there's no point asking him that, John, is there? We all know the answer to that.
I have this horrible thought of me being on the couch going to Blackpool and someone puts our chat with Ollie on the loudspeakers on the couch.
We want everybody to listen to it individually so we get the numbers.
Okay, yeah, don't do that. Just silence on the couch, everyone with headphones on, much better.
That works. Yeah. You can all have a beer. Just put silence.
57 listeners on one couch, that'd be mint, that.
You're in charge of coaching, you just tell them all to download it individually, it'd be great.
Yeah.
So that'll be out Friday morning. We will be back as usual on Sunday for the review of the Blackpool game, as we look ahead to Reading, 2 big games coming up in a week, 2 big away days coming up in a short space of time. Anything else that you two want to mention before we wrap it up?
It's definitely a cake.
Okay. Mick?
No.
I know you think it's a cake. I get it. Cool. So thank you all. Please do subscribe. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not watching on YouTube, go over and subscribe. Make sure you've subscribed to the iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you've subscribed. Otherwise, you might miss the All Rathblood episode, which I'm pretty sure will be quite good. Not from us, but I'm sure Ollie will be great to speak to. Danny, it's been a pleasure. I know it's a cake, mate. I get it.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm in good company with that. And I'm going to get rinsed for it anyway, but yeah.
And Rick, always a pleasure, and I'll see you soon.
You will.
Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.